Welcome to my reading corner where everyone is welcome. I have a question for you. Have you ever picked up a book just because it is a New York Times bestseller? Well, I have an important reminder. This just means, yes, as in the name, it has sold well. Not that it's necessarily the best book. In today's video, we're going to pull the curtain back on what it means to be a New York Times bestseller, and I'm also going to leave you some other awards to look out for instead that might lead you to your next great read. So, what is the New York Times bestsellers list? Well, as found on the New York Times website, let's explain. Rankings reflect unit sales reported on a confidential basis by vendors offering a wide range of general interest titles published in the United States. Every week, thousands of diverse selling locations report their actual sales on hundreds of thousands of individual titles. The panel of reporting retailers is comprehensive and reflects sales in tens of thousands of stores, all size and demographics across the country. Now, this is not just one list. The New York Times bestsellers list is broken down by categories, such as combined print and ebook fiction, hardcover fiction, which not a big difference, combined print and ebook nonfiction, young adult hardcovers, children's middle grade covers, and so many more, as you see here. Over time, the New York Times bestsellers list has just been deemed a trusted source. And for many authors, it's a big break in their career. Once you become a New York Times bestselling author, that's an accolade you can put and advertise on every single book you publish going forward. So, what are the caveats you need to keep in mind? Well, as Vox reported in an article I highly suggest you read, the general consensus is that if you want to make your way onto a bestsellers list, any bestsellers list, you have to sell at least 5,000 books in a week, or maybe 10,000. Beyond that, things get complicated depending on which list you're looking to end up on. That's because the different lists don't all use the same data. No one has access to all the sales made by every single book published in the United States in a given week. It takes months for publishers to assemble that data. It's impossible to get it all in time to publish a weekly bestsellers list. At the end of the day, the publishers will have a 100% understanding of what was sold, says Jim Moulton of Publishers Weekly, but they won't have it by the end of the week. So all of the different bestsellers lists have established their own methodologies to gather sales data. And once they've got it, they break it down differently. They put the break between one week and another in different spots, ending on Sunday versus Saturday, for example. They use different categories to sort the list, and they weigh digital and print titles differently. Now, an important caveat is you can technically buy your way onto the list. Buying your way onto the New York Times bestseller list is not all that difficult, although it is, as noted, beacon of morality Tucker Max points out, basically cheating. The most widely accepted version of this play is to identify independent bookstores that you believe report to the New York Times and go to those specific stores on tours. For example, one author that I will not name required any bookstore that he visited during his book tour to buy between $25,000 and $50,000 worth of his book. Now, the New York Times is somewhat aware of this and notes that they will edit their list by adding a little asterisk next to the book, or even remove the book entirely from the list if it is deemed that there is manipulation. Now, the important thing to remember when looking at any of these bestsellers lists is that they are not an indicator that the book is necessarily phenomenal, just that it's really popular. Like many things we consume in society, we want to consume what other people are. So let this be a reminder that this is just marketing. Publishing is just marketing. So whether a publisher is going to work with someone on social media, maybe a book talker or a booktuber, who is really popular to promote their book, or for example, they're gonna package it as beautifully as they can with the most beautiful eye-catching cover that they can think of. Like, this is all publishing. Even like following an author or community. If we think of books like A Court of Thorn and Roses, that has a cult following. People will continue and continue to buy books by Sarah J. Maas because it is a huge community now. And the same with people that love R.F. Kuang or N.K. Jemisin, like myself. I will probably buy any book that they publish. Now, don't get me wrong, the New York Times bestsellers list has some amazing books. Many of them, in fact, especially the top 5, are phenomenal. But if you're looking for something a little bit more highbrow, or you have a very specific taste, I would consider looking at awards instead. What you can do now is look at the books you already have and love and see if they have any of those fancy little stickers on them. Look up what that award is and look at what other books have won that award or what are other semi-finalists or long lists for that award. My favorite award to look for personally is the National Book Award. The National Book Awards are among the most prestigious U.S. literary prizes, recognizing outstanding books in fiction, nonfiction, poetry, translated material, and young people's literature. As a sci-fi nerd, I also like the Hugo Award and the Nebula Award. The Hugo Award is one of the most prestigious awards in science fiction and fantasy, given annually by the members of the World Science Fiction Society. The Nebula Award is another top honor in science fiction and fantasy awarded by the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers Association, and it is often considered along the Hugo. Now, I deeply encourage you to take a look at your own shelf and see what books and awards you gravitate to. And remember, this is a very rigorous award process. So next time you're browsing for your next read, don't fall for the bestsellers list. Instead, look for awards, honors, and communities that celebrate quality, not just what sells well. I wish happy reading to all, and thank you for joining me in my small corner of the world. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I'd love to hear what awards you really gravitate to or recommend to others. And until next time.